Hi everyone. We're a working group for Apply. It's a little early in the morning. It's April 3rd. This is the second. Well, we'll count the last two as a single one that happened on 2 days. This is the second such like sprint planning meeting. I have a bit of an agenda that I'd like to go through. So I think I want to spend the first I don't know, 2 or 3 to 5 minutes looking at what we did last week. Then Antoine and I have been putting together a document with like a roadmap of what we should be doing. So I want to spend 5 or 10 minutes looking at that, and then I want to make a list of things that we hope to do next week by next Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, I'm gonna present my screen.
Oh yeah. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah. Okay, hold on. I have to find the right window to present. It's not good to present the wrong window. Where to go? Where did it go? Oh, I know. It's this one. Okay. Okay. I have my screen going to both Zoom and Hangouts because I'm presenting to the screen internally. Okay, let's. This is the work. Yeah, okay, this is the work items. My screen share is paused. Hold on, I'm going to make this window smaller on my screen so I can see it. Okay, so let's just go real quick and what did we do? So Antoine, are we a real working group?
Yeah.
And we determined we did need a cap. So I didn't have a done in column.
I've written that in the notes.
Yeah. Insert a column. Whoa, I didn't want it there. Right.
That is?
I'm just going to copy whatever Jago does, which is which sprint it was done in.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm not very ideological about how we track stuff like this. I'm just doing whatever. Make a feature branch.
Nope.
No, we didn't do that, and we
aren't going to do it.
Well,
at least not for.
Yeah, I'd say
most of it.
We've
the conversion
determined
stuff.
that we can at least make a little bit of progress without making a feature branch. So maybe we'll go over that when we look at the map that we've started. Finish collecting test vectors. I'd say we made progress, but we definitely didn't finish that.
Yeah, Jenny's working on that.
Yeah, Jenny's working on that. And I know I saw a thingy from her, so.
The pull request?
I saw at least, yeah, pull request. So
I looked at it.
Yeah.
I left some comments.
Okay, describe OpenAPI extension tags. I did see the two of you edited my document, so we've got some description.
We have some, not all of them.
Yeah, not all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have at least one.
We have enough to make progress.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Do we want to finish that?
Yeah.
Okay. It seems like it's not done. Not done.
Not completely.
Yeah. Okay. Finish diff merge. Ha 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 ha. No, it's not done. Make a branch in the Cube OpenAPI repo. I guess we decided we don't need a branch there either.
No, in fact, I've already sent out PRs and Mehdi should have approved it. We're just going to be merging into master.
I bet Mehdi didn't know about this. Oh, it's a little early in the morning for Mehdi anyway. Mehdi was on vacation and just got back. Add one extension tag to the OpenAPI repo in the branch. So you've started on this, but it's not quite done yet.
Actually,
one.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I've gotten all the way through to JSON Swagger with list attribute equals atomic.
Oh, can you chat that at me later so I can?
Yep.
Do you have owners, or do you still need Mehdi's approval or something?
I still need Mehdi's approval.
It's not a bad thing though. It's good to have a second pair of variables.
Yeah, we definitely want everything to have at least 2 people that are following along at home, or
Yeah.
2 people that are understanding what we're doing.
I just mean, at some point, probably going to want to
Right.
make sure that people in this room.
But to be honest, Mehdi has been very responsive so far, so not a problem.
Yeah, and Mehdi sits right next to you too.
Yeah.
Oh, Jenny says she added a lot of test vectors to the merge diff doc, but it's not done. Okay, yeah, so progress, but not done. I think we signed up for 2 weeks worth of work. So this is like sort of half done, this extension tag.
Add one exit to the open repo branch. So it's not merged.
Okay, we'll leave it open.
But there's a PR out.
Implement one Go IDL tag to open API extension tag.
Yeah, I don't know how these 2 items are different.
Yeah, they're actually kind of the same.
No, I was thinking one is about the generator and one is about the open API repo.
So the one list attribute in pods, containers, all the way through to Swagger. So
Yeah.
we got that going.
Okay, so I should
not
collapse
merged.
these into, okay.
Yeah, it's
I
kind of
can do that.
confusing.
I can do that off. Hold on a second, Fan. I see your chat. And file a cap. And
It's done.
It's done. I filed it. I don't know what's supposed to happen next.
I can sync up with Joe. I know he wants more things to be done, definitely, but I don't know which one specifically.
We can probably take the stuff that we worked out in this document that I'm going to show in a moment.
The map, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And like copy paste that into
Right.
to there. Fan is asking a question in chat, and I want to postpone that until we talk about what we're going to do next sprint. Does that sound okay?
Okay.
Okay. Because next I want to. Oh, this is the meeting log. Oh, we're supposed to.
I'm supposed to take these notes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Somewhere in here. Uh-oh. This is not good. I don't have. Hold on a second. I need to find. Hold on a second while I find the document, which apparently I don't have it open in my window that I'm supposed to have it open in. What did I even call that document?
But it's not there. Do you want the link? I can give you the link.
Yeah, that might be.
And I'll add the document in the drive.
Oh yeah, if you can just move it into the. Oh, there it is. Okay, I found it.
You found it? I'll move it now.
Figure out this screen presentation thing. Okay, so I realized, we realized, well, Sean and Antoine and and Jenny were talking that we needed a more detailed map of what we're supposed to be doing here. So I broke down, I've got 2 sections here. One is what we're doing and the other is why we're doing it. No, that's my computer making all the noise.
You need a new laptop.
Well, I'm just projecting to 2 different video sharing systems at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, and I have like, a gajillion Chrome tabs open. We'll briefly go over what, and then we can go over why if it's not obvious. First on the list is a tool chain changes. I have this vision of our API system is like types.go. It's got an IDL. It's basically an IDL that we write out with Go structs and tags in the comments next to fields and types. And I think we need to build that out eventually into something that is an API compiler, basically. So the input is this types.go on this directory structure. The output is like the serialization, deserialization, the code to put it in a converter, serializer, the like stubs for registry, put your read strategy here, that sort of thing. Your validation goes here. And I think also it needs to put out the Open API spec, and it needs to put out a CRD definition. And eventually that somehow needs to generate a client too. So it's like there should be one system of making a Kubernetes API that you can either install as a CRD, or if you outgrow that, and install as in some other way. But in service of that, like that's great, but we don't need that right now. What we do need is a way of describing the topology of our types so that they can be merged correctly. And we have like some merge tags in there. We're going to leave those in place, deprecate them but not remove them for like ever probably. But add some more, add tags that are directed at like declaratively describing our API rather than giving instructions or hints for imperative merge operations. So next, handler stack changes. If you look at like the output of, or the thing that Phil's team has is some code that does object merging. It requires the Open API schema. So we have to make the Open API schema available to the handlers from which we'll be calling this code. And there's two sources of Open API specs. There's the stuff that's the output of the Open API library that Mehdi put together, and there's also stuff that comes through the validation field and CRDs. So both of those need to get plumbed through to some default implementation of Apply. The thing we're doing to implement Apply is a new content type for the patch handler. I believe that like we can decide this when we're closer to actually implementing it, which should be like in a week or two. But I think that we're going to have one apply that's targeted at users and one apply that's targeted at controllers. The other option is to give kind of a grab bag of features that any caller of apply can turn on or off. I think it's better to provide targeted flows where we determine the features. I think controllers generally want to say like, I want these fields to look like this. I don't care what I said last time. This is what they should be now. If somebody said something else, like ignore them. I'm the source of truth here. And I think users generally want a three-way merge where they're like, this is what I want it to be now. And the system looks at like, well, last time you said this, you said the same thing again this time. Clearly you don't want to change it. So I'm going to leave it.
Question about the three-way merge on controllers.
Yes.
Does that mean that controllers aren't deleting fields, or that they do so like imperatively?
That's a great question. Let's talk about it some other time.
Sure. Sorry, I should have left that on the comment. Like,
no.
I'll just leave the comment. We can follow up.
That's a great question. Let's talk about it later. So another large change to patch is that now it may need to call post. Like right now, kubectl apply can create objects. We need the control plane version of it to also be able to create objects. I know there's a section in the update strategy about whether it's allowed to create things or not, and it's on in some resources and off in others. I think we need to allow it for apply, even if it's not allowed for regular put. So I don't know if that means changing all resources or if that means making apply ignore it.
Do you mean, I mean, patch is its own HTTP method. Do you mean like it may need to create instead of just update?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
but I mean, patch formats things and then falls through to put, doesn't it?
No, it calls a patch.
Okay.
Yeah.
create things now? I don't think it can create things now.
It depends on the resource. I think 1 or 2 resources allow it to.
But they must be reusing the field from the put strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to either have to ignore that or change it everywhere.
Yeah. I did have a question about apply creating things. So, and we can file this away as a separate conversation, but is the assumption that everyone who uses apply is providing enough of the object that it would pass validation if the object didn't already exist?
In short, yeah, you have to give enough. If you don't supply required fields and the fields that you omit don't have defaults, then it wouldn't pass validation and you wouldn't be able to create it. Yeah.
Okay. So isn't that going to lead to people putting fields in their apply so it passes validation and then like claiming ownership of it even though they didn't necessarily care?
Oh, like an image.
Let's look out for examples of that when we.
Should I take notes on this?
I think Antoine is taking.
Yeah, it's fine to queue that up as a conversation. I just have seen a fair number of issues where people said, well, I need to make the object so that apply works whether the object exists or not.
Did you get
Yeah, so I think if you make it and then somebody else changes the field, then by the 3-way, and you never touch that field again, by the 3-way merge rules, somebody else owns it and you're not going to accidentally mess with it. But maybe we should survey objects to make sure that there aren't. I think actually what you're describing is an API bug. Like if a user plausibly doesn't want to set that field, and maybe it shouldn't be required.
Well, I mean, it's fields that are required to exist owned by somebody in the object.
Like uninitialized almost.
Well, yeah, people were surprised by how apply would behave differently. Like apply would work if they omitted some fields if those fields were already set on an existing object. But it wouldn't work to create the object in the first place. So when it was a single actor thing, that was easier to understand, I guess. But now that we're talking about multiple actors, I'm just trying to understand what people will likely do and how that will play with each other. So
yeah, I wonder if we could build out like a like if you submit a partial object, then it goes into an uninitialized state until the rest of the object shows up. I don't think we should do that in our first take on this, but I can imagine that being kind of useful. So maybe we can think about that later. Anyway, we're not going to get through this document if I don't hurry up.
Sorry.
Okay, so that's the patch handler. Fix, update, improve, merging code. Make sure it is library-fied so it can be called from the control plane without dragging into world in the form of dependencies. Take all the test vectors that we've collected and run them through this code. Yeah. We're still debating a little bit whether we get everything we need with just 3-way merge that can also implement 2-way merge. But we'll try this code before writing a bunch. Although, yeah, we can talk about that. Once we get the stuff invoked from the right place, then it's easier to iterate on it.
Yeah, we can have a conversation.
Okay, metadata API change. Obviously, we're going to have to feature gate this, but we're going to move the last applied annotation from an annotation to a first class citizen under metadata. Conversion defaulting stack changes. I need to write this up. My last few days have been a disaster, and I haven't had a chance. But this is basically David sent an example of how basically there's groups of fields that need to go together. Like some fields don't make sense if other fields aren't set. So even if you don't default the entire object, in order for a conversion to work and actually accurately capture the user's intent on the other side, you may need to default one or two fields.
So is that true though? Like if you think of the input, okay.
I can send you David's example of my response there, but I need to write that up. I think the best result, I think the best solution to this is to give defaulting, not to like turn it on and off, but to have it have two modes. One where it just globally defaults everything, and the other where it looks at the fields which are set, and if necessary, defaults additional fields. The other option, I think that's probably the best option. Let's not design it here. Validation changes. Since we're going to have the Open API schema available to the handlers anyway, pass them into, or like we can call a validate thing on them. For example, the thing that I really want to validate once and for all is that associative lists don't have duplicate keys. We had a hilarious bug where if you added an environment variable twice and then tried to remove it with apply, it removed both of them, which is
people loved, I'm sure.
It amused me. Okay, admission chain. This is probably future. This doesn't have to be in like the first alpha, but I think eventually we want to take. That is nice. Yeah, eventually we want to take what a mutating emission webhook or a mutating plugin does, put it in the form of apply, and drop it in the last applied state map so that people can see what the mutating emission plugin did.
Mm.
I think eventually we want, like, anything that mutates the object should get its own list there, so it's very visible who's set what.
Is there going to be like a design proposal for each one of these things?
I think at least we may combine some of these things, but I think this is all the things that I think the project involves, and then I've got a separate timeline section which gives like a rough order because some of these are more important than others. Right. The put handler, just like same idea. If you call put, we should compute what you did and put it in the last applied state. Addition of dry run. Dry run is critical to know what you to be able to predict what the system's going to do when you add something. I think this is important. It's also kind of hard. We have to add it to every mutating verb, and we have to thread it through the webhook API, the admission webhook API, because webhooks cannot have side effects on a dry run.
But they can have, I see.
Yeah.
They can have side effects in the system, but they still need to mutate the object.
Correct. Yeah. But even like
this is not the side effect. The side effect is doing something on the side.
Yeah, even a validating webhook can have a side effect,
right.
Like deducting quota is the canonical example. Version skew safety. Like I think honestly, I think we should get it working in like alpha and not worry about version skew for a little bit, and then once we have that, then we can build up a test suite and make sure everything works. I think the tricky case is when you have an old kubectl and a new API server.
I think we might get this for free. I'm not certain, but I think if the API is simple enough, we're just sending like one raw file.
Well, but an old kubectl is trying to write the annotation.
Depends on how old.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Once
4 or 5 releases.
Yeah. Once we get everything rolled over, then we're good. But I'm talking about that first like transition from old system to new system.
Got it.
I think we're gonna have to like pay attention to that. And lastly, and this can be done in parallel with a lot of other things, is we change the IDL. We want to make it more strict. We need to roll that out in a piecemeal fashion. Like first we put in the thing that makes the IDL that gives you emits like a warnings file or something. We check that in. We tell everybody this warnings file must not get bigger, and then one API at a time we can go fix all the warnings. And hopefully the things that we change are backwards compatible, like making a field optional or adding a list tag. Okay.
Do we Just as a follow-up question, for some of the things we may want to do it before we launch, like beta, is this all alpha stuff?
I think if you look at the timeline, I'll share this doc with the group.
I've added it to the drive.
Okay, great. It's in the drive. I think Google Docs is weird. I think I still need to share it, even if you put it in the drive.
I've shared it.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's in the drive. So go take a look. We are running out of time. Let's see, Jenny has a chat message here. Yeah, so that was our previous discussion. Yeah, we can talk about that offline. Fan, I saw your request, and I couldn't tell if that was about the existing apply code, which we're mostly not using, or if that was about Phil and company's new apply
that's
code.
about the new apply code. We should talk about. We need to get a spec of what conflict means unambiguously and what we're detecting.
Yeah, I plan on working on that.
And let's follow up, Fan, because I think that was part of what you were working on too. Is what does the conflict mean?
Yeah. Shared ownership. That's also a thing.
Okay. So we have 2 minutes left. Is there anything that we're not going to do in Sprint 2? Let's see. So first, I'm going to move the stuff that we did in Sprint 1 there. Two. I think I'm likely not going to do this.
You could probably remove that, make a feature branch.
Okay, so feature branch. Is there anything we are going to do that I should add? Okay, probably not going to do this one.
Not doing things is better than finishing them because then you don't have to maintain them.
It's true. I'm going to add like a finish road map doc.
I'm definitely working on that.
Is the user documentation for the schema tags included in there? That's one of those items.
Describe open API extension.
Do we have
tags.
a place for the user documentation to go?
Like a task?
Just come up with one. I mean, if we just put it in the Go doc, it gets hosted. But if it's not,
what do you mean by user documentation? How people are going to use it? What's the user?
I mean, the user would be the API author.
yeah, as I'm reviewing this thing, like having the context of this is how either someone writing an API or someone using an API but needs to understand how things are actually going to get merged together when they apply.
No, those are two vastly different categories of people.
Yes, they are.
API authors need to know how to write an API. API users need to understand how to use the API. The documentation for the API users ought to be generated from the tags.
Some of it, the conflict stuff, not like the notion of what these things mean has to be.
Yes, the API author has to like write comments and stuff.
No, I mean like when atomic, like the conceptual model of an associative list needs to be documented.
It's different
right?
from
Not for each single instance, but like we need to conceptually document. This is what an associative list means.
I mean, there's
kind of exists for apply now, but no one understands it, and we're changing it a bit.
Okay, so that's two different kinds of documentation.
Yeah. And they might be like I'm not giving a priority on these things. I was just curious where those fit into this. Maybe just because I have a feeling like I think reviewing that stuff might there might be questions, right, and reveal ambiguous items.
Okay, do we want to do either of those things this sprint.
I have doubts.
Hmm?
I don't think so.
So is there currently a place where our tool chain is documented?
Not. Yes. There's an apply document. There's a couple places. There's an apply document.
That doesn't seem like the right place.
No, I mean not a place it should go now.
Okay, it should be maybe in the cube generator repo. Is that a good place?
It's a good place to start.
And I'm assuming you want it to be Godox.
At least some of it. I'd expect the one for the API authors to be in Godox, so
Yeah,
it's native. I'd expect the one for users probably not to be Godox because it's conceptual.
Are you going to sign up for that?
Not this sprint.
Okay, I don't know if I can promise.
It doesn't need to be done this sprint.
Yeah, okay. Are there any other? Okay, we're over time, so I think maybe I'll cut this off. Fan, I'm not sure if your item needs to be tracked on this sheet or not. I don't know. What do you think, Phil?
Finn, can you and Antoine sync up offline and then decide what the appropriate thing to do is?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest send an email and then we can iterate on the email maybe.
Yeah, well, maybe yeah. Let's get into the habit of just send stuff like this as an email to the group list, and
yeah, that's a good idea.
Then we can all
or the
have a friendly debate, or the Slack channel. Yeah, that's
Okay. Yeah, I can send notes in the Slack.
yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks everyone. I'm gonna figure out how to stop recording, and okay, maybe I will